Hello and welcome to the Hivemind After Hours podcast. Today we are here with Derek and Nicole of Traceless, releasing their first new song in a couple of years last month. We're here to talk to them about that, upcoming plans for the rest of the year, and just all things Traceless. How are you guys all doing today?
Doing good.
Good.
Glad to be back in the zeitgeist after a long hiatus.
I know, it's so weird. You say years, and it's literally been years.
Sometimes
it goes
you need
by
it
real quick when the rest of life is coming at you hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you guys back.
We appreciate
it. We have you two here today. Jacob unfortunately could not make it. Originally he was going to, and then stuff happened. So it's just gonna be myself, Justin, and Derek. The Hivemind. There's two Dereks in this one, so it's confusing.
And the other Derek.
The other Derek.
Look, if there somehow is a war that breaks up between the J names and the Derek names, I'm glad it's going to be on even footing this time around.
There you go.
Is it a Derek sandwich for you guys too? Are we like
yes, that's sort of is.
Better watch yourself.
Oh gosh.
All right, so before we get into things, if you want to follow the guys at Traceless, it's at Traceless Band on all socials. And then if you want to keep up with us at the Hivemind, Hivemind Radio _ on Instagram and Twitter, Hivemind Radio on YouTube, Hivemind Recap Podcast on Spotify. Justin, you're kind of the one that introduced all of us to Traceless all those years ago. So if you want to start this, if you had anything you wanted to start this conversation out
with. First of all, I don't apologize. Traceless kicks ass. But to kind of start things off, you guys released Wrong With Me back in March, and it's been doing numbers since you guys came back. How do you guys feel about it now, about a month afterward?
I feel good about it. I think, that song was a song that we finished around the same time as like the EP. So I don't know. I feel okay about it. I know that we've sonically improved since then, so I'm a little bit more excited for the new stuff that we have coming out.
It's been done for a couple of years then, right?
Yeah, it's been done for a few years, yeah.
Damn, okay.
That's the thing. We have a backlog that's honestly crazy. Like,
yeah.
But like things just have.
We have like 2 albums worth.
Damn.
Yeah. But we've had some mixing engineer woes over the years. Like if you were to look at the credits for our stuff, like almost everything's done by somebody else. We haven't quite found that person or team that's quite hitting exactly what we're looking for every time. Like we usually have to go through a lot of revisions, we usually plan to have stuff out a lot sooner than actually comes out, just because we're just not quite getting it where we want to right away. So we're still working on that. Eric Ron did Wrong With Me, who's a dude we've been always wanting to work with, like, responsible for a lot of the records that influenced us. And
Eric Ron is fantastic.
Eric Ron enjoyer.
Absolutely. And I'm happy with the way Wrong With Me came out. I'm obviously, especially with my vocals, I'm a super perfectionist to the way things come out. So I can be a little bit anal about editing and stuff like that. Like this most recent one, we got some of the edits back, and I just decided to go in there myself and make some tweaks on top of it. But yeah, that song, I think I actually heard you guys' podcast when you talked about it, and yeah, you pretty much nailed it on the head that like it's kind of like the expected single, that it kind of encapsulates a little bit of everything that we do. But I think you guys will be happy to hear that there's way more experimentation and a variety of stuff coming in the future. So that's what I'm more looking forward to than anything.
Me excited. Like I think especially like the way that you guys managed to blend different sounds and make it all come together in the way that you do is really amazing. So to hear that there's even more experimentation coming is like, okay, like I'm sold. I haven't even heard any of it yet. I'm ready.
We're very like,
thank you,
right away influenced to like whatever we like at the moment. Like when a band or something puts something out that kind of puts a spin on the scene, I'm like, oh, we should incorporate that in our way. Like there's always, it can be too many elements sometimes, but I think people like to see the variety.
Yeah, I think it's
Especially
cool
since
too
we're
because like
independent, we can really do what we want sound wise.
yeah, and like Derek and I both have very different influences sometimes, so it's cool to kind of mash them together.
Yeah, and I was doing much heavier stuff when I was younger, and bands in high school and stuff like that. And Nicole was doing more electronic production, EDM stuff.
Yeah,
But it's a good match.
I know
yeah.
Derek and I both kind of grew up in like an EDM phase right around the
Yeah.
same time, way
Oh, yeah.
back. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how
that's
I started. When I met Derek, I was actually asking him to be a part of like my EDM project that I was starting,
Hmm.
and then we just ended up becoming a band.
Sent me the instrumental for Nothing at All, and I think I wrote the entire song in like a day and sent it back like right
Damn.
away.
Yeah, like literally less than 24 hours, and I was like, this dude is crazy.
That's crazy. And going back to your even as far back as like your 11 minutes cover or Nothing at All, like you guys have incredible amount of talent for how fairly new the band is. So it's good to see, the branching off points. They're finally like starting to mesh in with what you guys are doing. So it's good to see.
That's so nice. Thank
Hey, thanks,
you.
man. Yeah,
Um,
I've been playing. We've both, been doing music for a long time. I just turned 30, which is terrible to say for me, but
saying it out loud is like, ooh.
but yeah, we just never had like I've been in other bands and stuff that like I think made pretty decent music for the time period, but like just never had. Well, now the way things are with social media and like the streaming
Mhm.
apps and everything, like that's 90% of the battle
Mm,
is just getting yourself out there, promoting right, and working with the algorithms and all this stuff. So we just didn't have the information, I don't think now, but I'm happy that this is the project that's doing better than any other ones because this is the one I'm most feeling like this is the type of stuff I want to be doing.
mhm.
you mentioned a little bit inspirations about like what's influencing your guys' music. What influenced the start of the band, going from that EDM direction into a bit more like post-hardcore sound, and what's going to be influencing like
Um,
it now?
so it's kind of a funny story. So when we started the band, I actually discovered Paris and Too Close to Touch, and I was like, wow, this sound is incredible, like the blend of like post-hardcore and like electronic music. And
Mhm.
so I went on YouTube and I just looked up cover like Too Close to Touch covers. I looked up the Plot and You covers. And I found Derek and I was like, wow, this guy has amazing vocals. So I just reached out to him on Twitter with a demo, just kind of a cold tweet or a cold DM, and he responded.
That's awesome. And those are you got into the scene with the right bands, I will say.
Absolutely.
You're speaking my language right now.
If Derek's not gonna say it himself, isn't Haven't Been Myself like your favorite album of all time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like unequivocally. I just bought like 4 different vinyl copies of it. Like
I
it's
saw those
just-
go live and it's like, oh gosh, Derek's wall.
Dude, I was refreshing the page over and over. I had time.is pulled up on my browser. Like I was not playing around. 11 o'clock hit, and I'm like, it's time.
Yeah,
No,
Too Close has got to be one of the most underrated bands ever in the scene.
oh,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and
right.
they're prety well known now, and like a lot of the guys in other bands have
Mm.
helped them, like Noah from Bad Omens, and like I mean I've been listening to them since like when they were putting out singles for Nerve Endings, and his vocal style immediately. I've always really liked vocalists in the alternative genre that use a lot of R&B style flavorings, but still have the vocal
Mhm.
power to belt out those catchy choruses, like Keaton, Johnny Craig. Obviously,
Yeah.
had a lot of influence on a lot of the vocalists and that do this kind of thing. That's why a lot of the bands I like now. Like I started more with traditional, like A Day to Remember is probably the first band with screaming that I heard. I listened to like more like radio metal, like Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Then I got more into some punk stuff when I was like 13, 14. But then yeah, as the whole scene evolved, you started getting that more blend of R&B and hip hop elements with the metal and punk stuff, and that's when I was like, okay, this is my flavor.
Looking back to me, it really feels like Too Close to Touch were just like ahead of their time. Like
100%.
if Haven't Been Myself released like a couple years later, they would be like talked about in
Absolutely.
such a
Huge.
different light.
Yeah.
That's why
Well,
you see bands like Bad Omens blowing up now, and it's like they deserve it 100%, but like
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily invent that. They're just kind of perfecting a lot of the groundwork.
and I think
It's
too,
also
like
the-
you. Sorry, Justin, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was also about to say it's like also the state of like social media now. It's like
Mhm.
Bad Omens blew up a lot because of TikTok. Same with bands like Catch Your Breath, Sleep Token, a lot of bands, Loveless. They kind of got the influence from a lot of the social media and like TikTok kind of rising. So it's very interesting to see like where that's heading.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
mean, pretty much
started to
anybody
try
has
and
the
make
opportunity now.
TikToks. Yeah, it's hard for us because we're both introverts. So like getting in front of the camera like that, we're like, oh god.
No, we feel that.
But you got to do what you got to do.
And of course, we live on opposite sides of the country, so
Mm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I assumed you guys were both in California, was it?
I live in Miami.
No, so
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
I'm in San Francisco right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
love
and,
San
I mean, we
Fran.
both have full-time jobs, so like,
Oh yeah,
it's
jeez.
whenever we have to
Fine.
like to do that music video and all that. Like, I had to fly out to LA, and we shot it there.
Uh-huh.
But that was fun. I like it out there. I could see myself going out there if some blessing I was able to leave this job that I have. But for right now, it's pretty much necessary, especially to live out here with how
Yeah.
much it costs.
Oh geez, yeah, I can only imagine. Well, San Francisco too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It sucks.
that's why I say it would take a pretty good offer or deal for it to be financially
Mhm.
smart.
No, my girlfriend lives in Sacramento, so I've looked into like prices there and in San Francisco, and I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah, you know the struggle.
Well,
Yeah,
Virginia isn't that
bad.
bad.
living in Virginia
bad.
versus some of the stuff out there. Yeah, it's I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so hard because like music is so good in California, like in LA or the Bay Area. Like there's so many people over there. It's just it's tough.
And that's the worst thing about here. There is absolutely no alternative scene in Southern Florida. Like, bands don't even really come here. Like, you'll occasionally get a show in Fort Lauderdale. Usually, if I'm going to go to a show, I have to drive up to Orlando or Tampa. But, like, down here, it's all just EDM and Latin music. Like, there's no venues for rock and metal.
I was gonna say, I saw somebody was talking about on Twitter a while back that like the Day to Remember tour isn't even coming
They
anywhere
didn't even
near
have a Florida date.
Not to
Yeah.
mention a Day to
That's
Remember.
so
like,
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it is weird.
given how big of a state Florida is, you would think that, but
I mean, when I do go to shows, like, they're packed out. Like, I don't know. It's just not.
Hmm.
I guess it's a big like if you're setting up a tour path, like you really got to go out of your way to come all the way down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen bands like have dates scheduled in like smaller venues around here, and then they get canceled because I think they're just not
Oh,
getting the
weird.
draw that they need.
damn.
Yeah, it's a bummer. But I said I've been flying out to go to shows. I flew to Denver to see Sleep Token, flew to Chicago to see Bad Omens and Era and a bunch of other bands when they were on that tour. I see Stars. Now that I have a decent job, I can afford to actually travel and like go to LA when we need to do stuff or whatever it is.
So speaking of going to LA, I guess with the Wrong With Me music video, like tell us a little bit about that. Like what was the process like? Where'd you get the inspiration? Like did you guys come up with the idea?
Well, it was originally
so
meant to
my
be a much smaller production value thing,
Yeah.
but it grew very quickly. I'll let Nicole
Yeah,
go.
so my partner Mindy, she is an amazing videographer, editor. She was the one that drummed in the video too.
I was wondering
So
about that.
yeah, so she helped us out with the entire video. She put together the concept for us, hired the crew, hired the cast that you see in the video. So I don't know. That was the most fun I've had in a very long time, to be honest.
Video shoots are
I
always
wanna
fun.
do
A
more
little
of
bit
that for
stressful
sure.
trying to fit everything in a time slot. There were supposed to be a lot more scenes in that video originally that we kind
Yeah.
of over predicted the amount of time we'd have and what it would take, but I think we got the important stuff.
I
Yeah,
worked
it
on
was
like
definitely
a
fun.
mini film series at college a couple of years ago, and trying to schedule like getting actors to show up. Like I totally get how that stuff can spiral out of control really quick.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah, I think when
I
the
can
extras
imagine with
showed up, they
like
had to
yeah,
wait like
especially seeing how
45
many
minutes.
extras were in that music video. Like I can imagine
Mhm.
it wasn't the easiest shoot to do compared to just like setting you two up in a room to do like a performance and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Mindy was really good about controlling the cast to make sure they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy because she's drumming and also having to deal with all of
Yeah, I
that.
couldn't
So
have done
I'm
what
so
she did.
happy with how it came out.
When you have extras on that scale, do they just like stand around and just like wait to be told to like, party or something?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
it was kind of, I feel
Okay.
kind of bad because like so the first shots that we did were just us playing in that room. And so all of the extras were in the living room while we were just playing in that room, and that took about an hour. So they just kept hearing the same song over and over and over again
Oh
for
no.
for however long that was. So yeah, they just kind of had to chill around, but I'm thankful that they stayed.
Hopefully, made some Traceless fans out of them by the end of it. If they heard the song over
Yeah,
and
I
over
think
again.
so. It was cool. I mean, like I think another thing is that we've never played a show before. So like after playing kind of as a band for that many times, I was like, "Oh my God, like I definitely want to play shows now." It felt like we were playing a house party show or something.
I guess
Would you
going
guys
off
play
of
it?
that,
Oh.
do you guys have any plans on like doing live shows this year or going on tour? Maybe I know you guys are still like kind of just starting. I mean, not just starting out. You've been releasing music for a couple of years now, but you're still like the infancy of Traceless, so to say. So
Yeah, in a
Love
lot
to
of
play a
ways.
show, but I think it depends. I think it just depends on the situation. If it makes sense, because I think it would just be it's hard because of where we live.
yeah,
It's hard to practice.
Yeah.
So it just has to make sense, I think. But
Mhm.
I would love to play shows, and I know that Derek would too.
Yeah, what I could see potentially would be a good starting point for that would be like maybe like a small East Coast run because like we got to get time off work, we got to be able to line up
Mm-hmm.
dates at venues, and like I know some people in bands that could potentially like bring us out as openers and like whatnot, but yeah, it would just be a logistical thing to figure out dates and times and venues and all that, which right now we're more concerned about getting more music out primarily. That's the main
yeah, that
thing
makes
Mm-hmm.
and
sense.
growing because like
That's reasonable.
and also our socials like are not on the scale of our Spotify. Like we need to really work on that. So if we were to announce shows and stuff, people actually hear about it and know to come out in the cities.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, all
So
I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
is come up to Virginia. You got me.
Yep, you got at
all
least
right,
2 people who will show up to that show.
Thank you.
we won't miss that.
with how many people don't come to Virginia,
Yeah.
like we're scraping by.
Oh my gosh. It's always Maryland and North Carolina, never Virginia. I don't get it.
Yeah. But yeah,
What do you
definitely more music before
what do you
anything.
two do outside of music?
I'm a conductor for a passenger railroad called Brightline.
Ooh.
Interesting.
My family's in the fast food business, so I'm currently learning that in the stores.
Nice. Any hobbies like gaming, all that sort of stuff?
Big gamer.
Yeah, I used to game a lot. I'm so tired from work that I stopped. But I really like to work out. That's usually what I do in my free time.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I need to get back on my grind with that. I'm working overnights right now.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, your
Couldn't
schedule's
do
honestly-
busy.
It sucks in a way, but I also don't mind it because I've always kind of been like a nocturnal night person anyway. And literally, since we take the trains in to the yard at night to get serviced and whatnot, so like I just take the train from Miami to West Palm Beach. It sits at the yard for a few hours, so I literally just get to go in the office and I bring out my laptop and I just fucking game or work on music for like 3 hours and then I
Damn
just take it back.
straight.
So it's really not that bad of a deal. And I got weekends off. We be going out on the boat on the weekend. We do this like boat club thing. You can take I live downtown in Miami, so the water's like right there, so we can just go to
Yeah.
Oh,
port,
yeah.
do some day drinking on a Sunday fun day.
Man, is there any better way to spend a Sunday than day drinking on a boat? Like,
I don't think so.
if there is, I haven't found it.
Yeah,
All things
I play a
considered,
lot
for
of
like
games.
trying to manage like a full-time job and trying to do this music thing and all the other hobbies, I feel like working like late night shifts as a train conductor, like kind of like there could be worse full-time jobs that are way more draining, I feel
Oh,
like.
absolutely. Like I still have like I used to even be on what's called the extra board, which is a fully on call schedule, like 2 days off and then 5 days on call, 24 hours.
Ugh.
But at the time we had a lot of extra people, so I didn't really work. Like I would work like 1-2 days a week maybe, and I would still get paid for a 40-hour minimum. So I was able to work a
That's
lot of
crazy.
music in my free time, and if I happened to get called in, I would just go into work, but I could do whatever I want basically during the day. And I missed that. Unfortunately, my seniority didn't let me get that this time around with schedules, but I think this is the next best thing.
I was gonna say, yeah, all that free time. If you can't have one, this certainly seems like the option.
Sometimes it's too much free time, honestly. Like, I feel like I need some kind of purpose.
Felt that. Hopefully, music will be able to take off here and help fill more of that time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we're actually my company's building a line from LA to Vegas in the next few years, so there's potential for me to move, yeah.
That'd be crazy. What music's dropped in 2024 that you guys have been listening to recently?
Damn. It's a weird one for me, honestly. I don't actually listen to as much music as I used to, namely because I live next to my job, so I never drive my car anymore. Since I moved to Miami last year, I've filled up my gas tank like twice. Like I never drive, and that's where I primarily used to listen to music. I mean, I do catch new releases and stuff, but I don't know if I've sat down and listened to like a full new album like at all this year. It's weird for me because I used to my Spotify numbers used to be insane. Just the listening.
Felt you there. I transitioned to remote work about 1.5 years ago, so my commute has disappeared, and it's like, yeah, that was my time to really delve into stuff. So I'm right.
I think we're getting a lot of good singles from bands that are evolving their sound. I like the new Wage War stuff. Siamese, I like the Architects' new songs a lot. Memphis.
I feel like
I was looking at them here.
Yeah, the new Memphis May Fire song. I know, Justin, you just saw Memphis May Fire like 2 days ago now.
Yeah, they were really good live, and the new song was really good.
Yeah, Catch Your Breath's newest album and Windwalker's album. I've been
Windwalker is our boys.
Last album
that
was
band
so
is
good.
so
we were all very high on that album.
It's such a good album.
What about you,
I need
Nicole?
to start listening to more stuff.
I feel like my music taste is kind of all over the place, which I like because I don't really like to listen to rock music a lot because I feel like when I'm producing, I'll like accidentally kind of like copy a little bit of what I'm listening to. So I've been listening to a lot of K-pop, a lot of country, and there's this new metal artist named Mad Kelly, who has really dope stuff, like a lot of like old Slipknot, Linkin Park kind of vibes.
Not heard of that before. Boys, write that down.
Check it out. Yeah,
write that down. Write that down.
I see.
Yeah,
no, I think you guys are really like his stuff. It's cool.
Most recently, we're really enjoying that kind of nostalgic, like 90s and early 2000s, like grunge and new metal type stuff, and trying to figure out a way to blend that with the more modern.
Yeah, I think the new song that we're about to release really encompasses that new metal like influence kind of, but also mixed with, you know, like our own flavor of like electronics, Derek's like R&B style vocals at some in some parts. I don't know. I feel like it's a good representation of our new influence and kind of what's to come.
I guess more breakdowns and screaming than ever.
Yeah.
I'm always down for a good breakdown. More screaming, bring it all over.
Music to my ears.
Yep. I guess sort of on that note, right, with genre blending and bringing in different genres and influences, like is that something that you're looking to do more of? And if so, like what genres are speaking to you as the ones that you'd like to incorporate?
That's a good question.
I mean, it really is a little bit of everything. Like, we take note of what people are enjoying, like what's new and different that's really standing out on social media and just in the zeitgeist of the scene, what people are talking about and enjoying. Like, it's tough because, like, especially when you're blending more pop and like mainstream type elements, you're always going to get the people that are telling these bands they're sold out or whatnot, or they're. But I think we've started from the beginning with those elements, so I don't think anyone would think it's weird if we put out a song that's
Yeah.
softer or what, because they know we like to go on the full gamut of the spectrum. And like, sure,
Our
you might
first
not
song
like
was
this, might not be for
11
you, but there's
minutes
a
long.
heavy one right next to it. So
Yeah.
and
You guys
that's
set
what I've
yourself
always
up.
liked the most.
You guys set yourself up to be able to like do that experimentation instead of like a lot of bands that release like a couple of generic albums and then start experimenting like
Exactly.
right off the get.
Yeah.
Like you're like you guys only have like what, like 10-ish songs out on Spotify right now, I think. I don't know the exact number.
I think it might be like between
Yeah,
10,
something like
12 or
that.
something like that.
But like there's a
singles.
lot of variety between all of them. So
Right.
like if people like the Traceless sound already, clearly they like the experimentation. So
Yeah, we always wanted there to be
Yeah, I
something
think
for everybody that can, there's a wide net of fans that you can catch with that. Because I mean, I've always enjoyed bands that can show that they can do everything. Like, have an acoustic song next to the heaviest song on the album. Like, I love that kind of shit.
yeah, that's what was cool about our EP too, because I feel like you have a heavier song like Live a Lie. You have like our post-hardcore influences with Obsession. You've got some rap in What Will It Take? You've got EDM and War. I feel like
I really liked War.
we hit the whole
I
spectrum.
really liked that
Oh,
one.
thank
It's
you.
definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, when she
Thank
sent me
you.
that
That one
instrumental,
was
I was
tough
like,
for me.
I don't know if this fits, but we're doing it because it's just such a vibe. And
Thank you.
yeah,
I
I'm glad
actually
people
made that. I
actually.
went to a Keizo show and I was so inspired by it. I was like, oh my God, I have to make something like this, like something more EDM. So I made it that night. And then I think I sent Derek and Sean the instrumental the next day.
Derek's ears just perked up.
I'm a big fan of Keizo. Just
Oh, you are? Nice.
oh
Me
yeah,
too.
absolutely. EDM in general, I feel like it's just such. I've always felt that because I mean I think I listened to almost exclusively EDM from like age 10 to 16, so I was like all over that shit, and I still love it. But I
hmm
think it kind of prepped me for getting into heavy music, so to say, because like even if you look at like melodic dubstep versus rhythm, right? It's kind of like the cleans versus uncleans vocals is how I've always
hmm
looked at it. So it's like, oh,
Yeah,
there's a breakdown here. I'm used to that. And I got a drop here and there in every other EDM song.
right.
Like it's
hmm
such a good pairing that I feel like a lot of bands don't utilize. So the fact that y'all have and that you've done it so well is, at least for me, something that like really makes you guys stand out in a crowd of a bunch of bands who are doing kind of the same thing. Like we were talking about, there's a lot of experimentation going on right now, and it's great to see the genre evolving. But at least in my mind, y'all are kind of at the forefront of it, even if you're not as big as some of the bigger bands. Like, I think that what you're doing
Thank you.
leagues
That
ahead
means a
of
lot
most
because
other bands.
we're, the more we scale up the operation and, increase our production value and stuff, I think we're every time we put something out, like by the time it's actually out from where we wrote it, we're like, all right, this is finally out, but like we're more excited about what's coming next because we're always, growing and evolving
Yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah, I agree. I think with Wrong With Me, it was more of a song to just be like, hey guys, we're back, we're here. Don't forget about us. But we're definitely more excited about the new stuff.
hmm And we kind of had to reintroduce ourselves to the algorithm and social media after, our monthlies were slowly dwindling the longer and longer that we were on hiatus. So it's good to get a little stimulus before we start getting too deep into the experimentation, I think.
Yeah, but it's so crazy, like how many listeners we still do have and how much
Yeah, I mean, we
interaction
didn't
we
even make a
get, like
social
after
media post
announcing we
for
were back.
years, and we still had people religiously listening.
Yeah, that was the coolest feeling ever.
So what I'm gathering from this is that Wrong With Me was just like starting the car, like you put the key to start the car, and then starting with this next single, you're like putting your foot on the gas and really getting back into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
When I want to do something high energy, it's kind of like the I'm Fine of the EP. I feel like this Wrong With Me would be like the that good middle ground, high energy, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I
To
think we knew we wanted to do a music video for it too, so we wanted to do something a little bit more on the higher energy side.
mhm.
So I guess kind of talking about like, just kind of went on my own little spiel about where I see you guys in the genre and everything, but like, what are y'all's thoughts on the current state of like post-hardcore and metalcore, and where do you really see Traceless among all that? Like, do you see yourself wanting to remain within it? Do you want to push the boundaries further? Like, what is your vision for the band?
I think like for production, I want to just keep making stuff that we're proud of. I don't necessarily see it fitting into a specific genre.
Mm.
I don't know. I just feel like we're blending so many different things that it's hard to kind of pinpoint what genre specifically it fits in.
I think it might be like kind of an unpopular opinion to some people, but I actually think it's better than it's ever been. Um, Obviously, you can't please everybody, especially many year fan. I mean, a lot of these bands have been doing this for decades at this point,
Yeah.
and still maintaining fan bases. And they're doing something different. They're evolving with the scene and everything else in the mainstream, and just it's 2024. Like a lot of people don't really want to hear the same type of music that some people do, but personally I like to see the evolution, and I think a lot of these bands are so established that they're not afraid to just do what they want to do, and I like seeing that. I've always envied and respected bands that weren't afraid to blend genres, to step outside of their comfort zone, and try to catch a wider audience. Like I think that was our goal from the beginning, was like you don't want to isolate yourself to one exact sound where you're going to acquire a fan base for that, and then it's hard to bring anybody else in, or those people don't like it when you branch out. So I think I think people are more open-minded than ever about bands in the alternative scene doing all different kinds of things, and that's what I like to see.
I'd even say personally, I've become like more open to that sort of experimentation.
Oh,
than I used
absolutely. I mean,
to,
I was
so
I was a little bit elitist when I was a teenager. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
Like I wasn't listening to nothing on the radio, no pop, no country, or anything. But now I can see, like, sure, might not be for me, but I can take some of these elements that make this popular and put it into the type of stuff that we do like, and
Again, I think that puts y'all way ahead of the game than a lot of these other artists, especially because I think you're doing it well. I was you mentioned Wage War. I was no stranger to how I felt about their newest single, and it wasn't positive. But I will say that I think their ability or willingness to branch out, like you said, with an established fan base of a decade who just won breakdowns, like,
right.
I get it. But you guys, I feel like you said, have definitely set yourself up for success here with what you've done and the way that you structured the releases and just how strong everything has been out of the gate. Truthfully, I remember when Justin first showed us the EP and singles, we were a little bit kind of like, where did this band come from? Like,
Yeah.
how are they so good out of the gate? And
That's so cool.
It truly has
I'm
held up.
finding the good shit.
That is true. We count on Justin to find us smaller bands that we
Justin
can all
is always out there finding the super small bands, like sub 10,000 monthly listeners. Like,
And then I'll
amazing.
just find random
There's so
bands
much gold
from
out there.
Kazakhstan or something.
Yeah, dude found a fucking band from Kazakhstan last month.
Yeah. I mean, Spotify with like the release radar and the recommended algorithm and stuff, they find you some stuff. You're like, how is this band not huge? Like it happens all the time, and that's the game. That's the social media. I mean, obviously the amount of effort and time that you're able to put into it. Like, I mean, a lot of these guys obviously also have full-time jobs and whatnot. They can't necessarily apply all of themselves to the thing, but like you see how many bands go under the radar, sometimes their entire career, and you're just like, how, man?
I think that's kind of like why we started doing the podcast stuff. Well, it started because I had a radio show at college, and then that ended, and wanted to keep it going with this. But it's just like there's so much talent out there that doesn't get recognized, and it's like, damn it, I want to see these bands like blow up so I can actually see them live, sort of thing, you know?
Right.
Even if we can do our part in our little small little corner of the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just music is such a wonderful thing, and I feel like there's so many artists out there, like you said, that go unnoticed for a lot of their careers. That even if one or two more people hear it and then share that with somebody else, and so on and so forth, like, I don't know. Music, those bands, Traceless, need to be heard by more people, we think, collectively. So,
yeah,
like, I don't know how many people listen to my Tuesday night 9:00 radio shows where I'd play like 10 songs off of Spotify. I don't know how many people actually listen to those, but I'd like to hope that maybe someone out there heard them and actually decided to start listening to a band that I played. So,
I mean, that's what it's all about. Like the reaction videos, podcasts, reviews, TikTok, like as much as like social media has like been a detriment to society and all that.
yeah.
I think it's the best thing to ever happen to music, and especially for stuff like this that's not getting, notoriety and acclaim on a grand scale, like the stuff you hear on the radio or TV or whatever. Like, I think we needed a platform and people who are into this stuff to go follow and get all the news and new releases and see what people like them are listening to and what they like. So it's like discovery is at all-time high, which is what you can't ask for better than that.
Yeah, I think for us too, since we live so far away from each other and we're not able to make content together, like I feel so blessed for the amount of love like that we do get for not, posting together all the time and stuff.
Yeah, I never
We're
would
really
have thought we'd
posting at
even
all.
be where we are at. I mean, like I said, it's
Yeah.
still in the infancy, but the fact that we did this fully independently just from our bedrooms, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Given that all four of us are all across, we get that struggle too.
Yeah. Not quite as far, although we've got our missing members stuck in Canada. So, Canada, California, kind of the same.
I mean, that's good too. You got even the regional, varieties and tastes and opinions.
Exactly. It's really interesting to see some of the like local Canadian scene that comes up there. You wouldn't think how many bands from the scene are actually from Canada, but it's more than I thought, personally. Was also stunned to find out that Nickelback is from Canada, although not quite as related to our scene.
I keep finding that a lot of the bands I find myself getting into are like Denmark, Sweden, like a lot of like European bands. Floya, Normandy. Are two of my favorites right now. And
I wish Normandy was coming closer to me. I've been wanting to see them for years.
I know that's the downfall of liking these European bands that are smaller. It's like sometimes they just never come here.
Yeah.
Like Dead by April announced their first American tour, and I've been listening to them for I was like 15. And I was like, all right, well, I got to make sure that happens. Of course, they're not coming to Florida, so I got to fly in a different state. But
whatever it takes. Like if Dead by April is coming to the U.S. for the first time ever, because I know they've been around forever.
I know. And I guess they're pretty big there, and like, but I don't know. I never heard anyone talking about it here. I'm like, they've been doing the thing like that everyone's doing, but for a long time.
I don't know if either of you two listened to Amaranth, but they were like the gateway band into metal for me. They're from Sweden, and I discovered them in 2016, and they were coming to America for the first time in 2020, but then 2020 happened. They finally scheduled. They finally got it on another. It was a co-headliner with Dragon Force. Late last year, and I was like, I'm finally gonna get to see Amaranth for the first time. I've been following this band for 7 years. They've been like one of my favorite bands. And then there's like a giant family reunion with like 40 people in my family that's scheduled the exact same day that they are playing the closest to me, and I miss it. It's tragic.
I think post COVID we were all so starved for shows. I was just going to anyone I could get to.
Oh yeah. I've definitely seen myself kind of dwindle off of concerts recently, unfortunately. But that post COVID, when everything opened up, it was every person for themselves. Like, I will get these tickets. I will go to this show. So help me God.
I tell you what, hitting 30 and going to standing room only shows is getting tough.
Oh man,
my back by the third band is like, all right, gotta sit down.
I was so against like seated concerts. I was like, what is the point type of thing? And I went to a Don Toliver concert last summer, and it was like a bunch of like really young teenagers just pushing and shoving, and like somebody bit me. I'm like, you know what?
Oh my God.
I need to go.
What?
Oh yeah. No,
You
it was
sue?
bad. No, you want me to sue?
You said
somebody?
Don Toliver?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Don Toliver.
Don Toliver is fantastic. I've really found
Only hits from Don Toliver.
Although
everything
the
is
two
so
newest
catchy.
singles, I don't know about the two newest singles, but I will ride or die for the rest of his discography.
Yeah.
No, it was fantastic. But yeah, now after that, I'm like, no, I want to sit down. I don't want to have to be, because I bought VIP tickets to go be like barricade and got shoved out of the way by a bunch of like. It was horrible. Somebody was using me as a rest for their camera, like my shoulder. And I'm like, do I know you? Like, what is this?
Oh my God.
So I'm a seated concert advocate now. I feel your pain.
I had balcony seats to see Judas Priest and Sabaton a little over a week ago, and that was pretty sick.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, balcony seats are the way to go.
We were like straight on center balcony as well. It was like a pretty big theater. So
yeah, I went show I went to a couple of days ago. It was a large venue where it had half balcony, half ground floor. It was very nice, but it was super crowded. I felt like there were more people than occupancy, but you take what you can get.
Technically, Justin, aren't you a part of the more than occupancy because you
look
listed? Aren't you the problem?
I don't look. I say that.
I guess getting back to y'all, you've talked about like maybe what could happen the next couple of years, et cetera, et cetera. In an ideal world, where would y'all see Traceless in 5 years from now?
I mean, hey, like, I got a good career. If the opportunity presented itself where I could do this full time, it'd be very hard to say no,
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
But again, to make that realistic, it would take a lot. So like, I'm not gonna, I think we have the ability to do that. I don't want to, get ahead of myself with anything to see that, and say that's going to happen anytime soon or at all. And even if it doesn't, like, I think we're both perfectly content with just doing this as a passion hobby on the side independently. The people that listen to it is, that's awesome. If it doesn't become a full-time career, I've come at peace with that. Like as a teenager, I was like, oh, this is the only thing I can ever see myself doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, I never thought or dreamed of working on trains. Like it's not something. It's just something that kind of happened. But I mean, it is a career that I could retire at comfortably. So it's really tough for me to drop that all unless it was, kind of guaranteed that this was going to be successful. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I would be willing to take that risk if the opportunity presented it for sure. Just because it's, always been the original goal, the pipe dream from the beginning. But for right now, I think we just keep doing what we're doing and without setting expectations to a specific point, just focus on putting out the best music we can and growing an audience and then see what happens. I think that's all you can really do.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as Derek. Like, I would love to make this a full-time job, and I like to stay positive, and I feel really confident about the new music that we have coming out. I think something that's just really important for us is we have to be consistent with it. I think that once we released our EP, like I personally felt kind of like an adrenaline dump, because like we spent so much time working on those songs, and I don't know, I think like the next few years, like I really had to rediscover like what I was influenced by, like what I wanted to make. So I think that we just need to be consistent. But I mean, in 5 years, like if we are consistent, I feel confident that like we could make this a full-time job.
We've all our hopes up for you. Consider my fingers
Thank you, guys.
crossed. Like especially with how much we all enjoy your music. We are very thankful to Justin for having shown us your band.
Look, the talent is there. It's everyone else that needs to get on board. That's not my problem.
We're on the Traceless train. No pun intended, I
guess. What else does 2024 hold for you guys to kind of wrap this all up?
Yeah, so like I said, we got backlogs out the ass. I mean, we got one song's currently in the mixing process. The next single. We have another one that's ready to go out. And other ones that are basically finished. Just got to put the finishing touches on and get them out too. But like I said, a lot of the stuff we're putting out has been written for a while now. So I'm also excited to start fully putting some new stuff from scratch. And I think we've kind of streamlined our recording and writing process, that like once we get started on working something, we can actually like get it done pretty quickly. Especially in that hiatus period, like we did have like music. We had one song that was fully mixed and ready to release, but just didn't quite come out the way we wanted to, and that kind of discouraged us for a while. We had an mixing engineer actually just like stop responding to us in the middle of the mixing process.
Sucks.
Which was awful and kind of just like set us in like a period of like I mean, that's basically the main reason for a lot of the time that we spent away and Sean leaving the band and stuff. But now I think we're on a good rhythm here. Like when we were getting ready to release Wrong With Me, we were, committing to ourselves like, okay, we're not going to put this out and then disappear again for a year. We need to have stuff lined up and ready. And of course, like things don't always go as planned. Things take longer. Like I think like the song we're going to be putting out next probably should have been out already if things had all gone according to plan. But I mean, we're still committed to being way more consistent than we ever were before. So
I mean, it's how it just all goes. It's all just a game of sort and figure out where you're gonna fall. So it's good to hear that you guys at least have a good backing and already are like in the headspace of getting new stuff out.
And of course, people always ask us about full album. I think we still need to weigh our options with that. Like obviously, we would both love to do that. There's also the factor that as an independent artist right now, the way things work, it's not necessarily the best.
Most
Singles
financial.
just do better. Singles
not even just financial.
Point.
Exactly. Yeah, like the way things work with playlisting on Spotify and just the attention span of people online. Like even our EP, like you will see if you looked at stream numbers, they gradually go down the further you go down the EP, because not a lot of people just don't have the time or attention span to go sit down and listen to full albums anymore. So you see a lot of bands will put out singles almost the entire album before they actually drop the album. So I could see us doing, releasing a bunch of singles and then collecting and those together and adding a couple extra, tracks to that. I would like to do that. It's also the fact that we haven't quite found our perfect sound team. So you want cohesiveness with the sound of records, and everything's produced and engineered differently, and that doesn't necessarily fit as an album, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. I know people want to see that. So I think even if it's not laid out as a full album, I think people will be happy with the amount of music they get.
Well, whenever you guys do end up releasing more music, we will be there listening to it and talking about it. So,
well, absolutely.
You don't have to wait too long.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
As always, take all the time you need, but we will be here.
Yeah.
Keep pressuring us to hurry up because we want to.
the ask for an album is entirely selfish. We just want to put it on our MP3 lists. Like that's really what it comes down to. It's
Oh yes,
EP
unapologetically,
album,
yes.
Yeah.
Like if an album drops, it's easy top 5 for me. It wouldn't
I
even be
think
close.
that EP is probably a little bit more realistic. Maybe like an extended EP.
That would make sense.
Maybe.
But hey,
Glad that
no
we're
pressure as
becoming a
always.
Part of that because we need that means more songs, and I'm all for that. So
Yes. I don't know.
Before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you two wanted to mention, talk about, or?
are you talking to us two or them two?
No, them two.
Okay.
I think we've gotten everything that we need out.
Better. I could have worded that better. Yeah.
No, I mean, you guys, thanks for reaching a hand out to the little guy. We always appreciate that. It's our first podcast, full on vocal interview and all that. So that's really cool. That's not something we had ever, really even thought about
Yeah.
happening anytime soon. So it's that's really cool to see. Makes us feel like we're legitimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel important, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
And
you. For taking the
yeah,
time
likewise.
to talk to us.
Likewise, we're super small, so it's good to be able to chat to bands like you guys and have these kinds of conversations where it's like super laid back and not too formal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same with artists and people who do content like this. Like, no matter how big the audience is, like, it's always good to have more people doing it and, making it known, helping artists out, helping content creators out, and just putting more out there for everybody that's interested in whatever genre of material you're making.
Agreed.
All right, with that, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. If you want to, once again, plug social media, you can follow Traceless at Traceless Band on all socials. You can follow us at Hivemind Radio _ on Instagram and Twitter. Be sure to follow, subscribe, all that nonsense. Once again, thank you guys for joining us, and yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Hopefully
thanks again.
We'll be talking to us again soon.
We
Or
sure
about
will.
us again soon.